Hey guys, so over the past few years I've uploaded quite a few videos exploring the biology, history, technology, etc. of various animated Star Trek aliens. I thought some of you might like a supercut version of those videos, so here it is, and be sure to subscribe because there's more where that came from. Hey guys, Tyler here. Star Trek is known for many things, among them the seeming ubiquity of humanoid aliens throughout the Milky Way. While many of these species possess distinctive characteristics, such as pointy ears, forehead bumps, or unique skin coloration, they nevertheless retain the prototypical humanoid body plan. But there are some Star Trek races that do at least take some more creative liberties, even if they're still reminiscent of familiar Earth life. Among these are Star Trek's various cat people, including the KinzieK and their supposed cousins, the KinzieK. Longtime members of the United Federation of Planets, the KinzieK are fairly common throughout Starfleet, and there have been multiple named KinzieK characters in the franchise. The KinzieK, on the other hand, are a recurring antagonist species, though there are now also a few KinzieK in Starfleet too. In this video, I'd like to examine what we know about both of these species, comparing them to our expectations about aliens in real life. Let's get started. According to Trek lore, KinzieK began attending Starfleet Academy by at least the 2250s, if not earlier. Star Trek IV: The Voyage Home confirms the KinzieK homeworld has a seat on the Federation Council by 2286. But even before this, in the late 2260s, a KinzieK lieutenant, Maress, serves aboard Kirk's Enterprise in the animated series. Biologically, the KinzieK exhibit feline-like features, with short faces, triangular ears, large, usually yellow eyes with slit pupils, whiskers, fangs, and a tail. They have a variety of fur colors, and in some instances, a digitigrade foot structure, though some are shown possessing a plantigrade structure, and they are shown possessing either 4 or 5 fingers on each hand, including their thumbs. Some more human-looking aliens have been identified by production sources as being allegedly KinzieK, but to be honest, I don't really agree with this assessment, as others have instead identified them as Dralaxians. Unless, oh god, they're KinzieK-human hybrids. When KinzieK need to move quickly, they can switch to a quadrupedal locomotion, demonstrating typical feline agility and reaction times. They have sharp claws on their hands and feet, with some preferring to forego footwear. The voices of some female KinzieK have a soft purring quality, with agitated KinzieK capable of a variety of cat-like hisses and yowls. KinzieK experience hormonal cycles that include the need to be intimate once a year, which can be alleviated using a libido post. Thanks, Lower Decks.
Oh, look at these claw marks. They're like from her horny great-grandma. Hey, Danny, my name is Jeremy. I'm an important cultural sex toy from the past. Please deliver me to Dr. Ta'ana so
I can't believe you're touching it!
Oh my god, I'm touching it with my bare hands! Put it back, put it back!
The KinzieK homeworld is called Kate, and it has long been associated with the binary star 15 Lensis. Get it? Links. A non-canon biography of Lieutenant Maress, published by Lincoln Enterprises in 1974, describes Kate as having an atmosphere, gravity, and mass all similar to Earth. So, in other words, Class M. This is consistent with the KinzieK's mammalian biology. The 15 Lensis system itself is located approximately 178 light-years away from Earth, and it consists of a G-type giant star with an F-type companion. According to astronomers, the primary star has exhausted the hydrogen at its core, which has caused it to expand to 8 times our sun's radius. It emits 40 times the luminosity of our sun with an effective temperature of 5,164 Kelvin. The two stars orbit each other with a period of 262 Earth years, nearly 10 times the orbital period of Saturn. Thus, the KinzieK homeworld, which they call Farasa, could theoretically orbit either member of the binary pair, or even both stars. The former arrangement is called an S-type orbit and is stable only if a planet's distance to its primary does not exceed about 1/5 the closest approach of the other star. The latter arrangement is called a p-type or circumbinary orbit and is only stable if the planet's distance from the stars is about 2 to 4 times the binary separation. Ultimately, the reference book Star Trek Star Charts suggests that Pherasa orbits 15 Lensis b, whose stellar classification of F85 indicates it is roughly 20% larger than our Sun, 7% hotter, and nearly twice as luminous. Thus, to retain an Earth-like climate, Pherasa would probably orbit around 2 astronomical units from 15 Lensis b. Of course, we're told by various tie-in media that Kate, aka Pherasa, is not, in fact, the Caitians' native homeworld. Lieutenant Maresa's biography also claims that the Caitians and more warlike KinzieK share a common ancestor, much like the Vulcans and Romulans. The non-canon reference book, The Worlds of the Federation, further theorizes that the Caitians are descendants of an ancient KinzieK colony. According to StarTrek.com, the Caitians retain a fierce warrior side of their personalities, having extremely close family units, but pride themselves on their artistic and philosophical accomplishments. The KinzieK are very unique in that they are one of the few Star Trek antagonists originally created and developed for another work of fiction prior to the 1973 television production, that is, the known space universe created by sci-fi author Larry Niven, starting in 1964. His KinzieK-centric story, The Soft Weapon, was bought by Gene Roddenberry and adapted by Niven for the animated series upon the recommendation of DC Fontana. The KinzieK are ambiguously said by Hikaru Sulu to have fought 4 wars with mankind in the late 21st century, having lost all of them. According to the animated series episode The Slaver Weapon, based upon Niven's work, some KinzieK tasted human meat during these conflicts. While the original The Soft Weapon storyline suggests the first of these wars was fought with sublight vessels, Star Trek First Contact indicates Earth's first recognized encounter with extraterrestrials occurs with the Vulcans after Zefram Cochrane's 2063 warp flight. It's possible that in the Star Trek continuity, the Vulcans helped humanity defend the Sol system from KinzieK raiders. These conflicts ended with the Treaty of Sirius, likely ratified during the 2070s, which severely restricted the KinzieK's access to weapons technology, as it's somewhat problematic to reconcile this claim with the rather well-established Prime Universe chronology. It's likely that these 4 wars were brief and spread out over a short time span. The first conflict probably took place sometime after USPA's launch of the Friendship 1 probe in 2067, when mankind still had no clue of what dangers lay ahead in deep space. And the last conflict probably occurred in the mid-2070s or so. There are, of course, numerous examples in our history of very brief wars, like the 6-Day War between Israel and a coalition of Arab states in June 1967. Alternatively, to paraphrase the sentiment I shared in my video about Star Trek The Next Generation's portrayal of the Trill versus Deep Space Nine's, let's just say that, well, maybe some of the lore coming out of the animated series doesn't fit with the timeline anymore. It's okay to admit it. The KinzieK's head of state is called the Highest of Kizin, and their government is called the Patriarchy. And indeed, the species is very sexist in nature. Their females are considered dumb animals that lack intelligence, leading KinzieK males to similarly underestimate the females of other species. They are strong, aggressive, and carnivorous, and they stand over 2 meters tall with broad, hunching shoulders. Their internal anatomy includes vertical ribs and multiple hearts, traits that the slenderer Caitians might or might not possess as well. The KinzieK are also distinguished from their cousins by their ears that superficially resemble bat wings. Some male KinzieK are telepathic, though the effort to read minds is extremely taxing to them and takes time to recover from. The KinzieK place great importance on individual honor and seeking revenge before calling for help. They consider being wounded and left alive as the ultimate insult, only remedied by combat to the death. The KinzieK have superstitious legends about mythical, storied weapons like those of the long-extinct Slaver Empire, being haunted by their deceased owners. Despite there being disallowed advanced weaponry besides armed police vessels by the Treaty of Sirius, many get around this by leading a life of piracy. However, other much more noble pursuits in which the KinzieK engage include archaeology and astronomy. Not much is known about the KinzieK homeworld, called Kazin, though it is identified on star charts seen in various Star Trek productions, while Kazin's parent star is identified in Niven's works as 61 Ursae Majoris. Canonically, this is the primary of Archer 4, a planet named after Jonathan Archer, according to the Enterprise episode In a Mirror Darkly. That said, 61 Ursae Majoris is a G-type yellow star like our Sun, meaning Kazin's primary might be as well. Star charts and stellar cartography, the Starfleet reference library, depict KinzieK space as being a few sectors coreward or north of Core Federation territory from a top-down perspective, near the Alpha-Beta Quadrant border. While we don't know everything about Cation and KinzieK biology, history, and culture, they are at this point staple species of the Star Trek universe. While a race of cat people might seem kind of silly from an alien biology standpoint, as real aliens would most likely look nothing like that, in the context of Trek, Cations and KinzieK are still some of my favorite background species. Various non-canon works flesh them out even further, such as the series of tabletop miniature war games set in the alternate reality of the Starfleet universe, indicating both species are active in sectors of the galaxy far beyond their respective homeworlds. Even in the animated series, KinzieK are shown patrolling space near Beta Lyrae, aka Sheliak, 960 light-years away, and the Star Trek novel The Buried Age indicates the Cations have a colony, Carisha, near the Alpha Persei cluster, 570 light-years away and close to Carnelian space. Another species name-dropped in the Next Generation episode Legacy. In many ways, Star Trek the Animated Series is an often forgotten part of the franchise. Having aired from 1973 to 1974, half a decade after the cancellation of the original series, TAS continues Kirk's 5-year mission as captain of the Enterprise, with a few notable changes. Some new additions to the cast include alien crew members Mares and Erix, and the animated series depicts a variety of alien life forms in Trek's Milky Way that could only be dreamt of in live action. I recently made a retrospective video on the original series in which I briefly discussed TAS and how I don't exactly think it's on the same quality level as the live action shows, and indeed its canon status has fluctuated over the years. Nevertheless, it made some significant lore contributions and continues to influence Trek to this day. In this video, I'd like to highlight various intelligent alien species introduced in the animated series, focusing on their biology and comparing them to our expectations about aliens in real life. Let's get started. Among the first alien species we're exposed to in the animated series is the Edosian species, race of the Enterprise navigator Lieutenant Erix, a 6-limbed triped species native to the planet Eidos in the Alpha Quadrant. Edosians are known for their slender build, but also demonstrate incredible strength. They can even emit a guttural roar when angered. We don't know a lot about Eidos, but it's referenced in other Trek installments as being the home of various life forms like the Edosian orchid, Edosian slug, and Edosian suckerfish. The name of the Edosian homeworld comes from a biography of Erix published in a 1974 Lincoln Enterprises catalog. While not canon, some information from this biography has seemingly been accepted into canon. While TAS and Lower Decks suggest that the Edosians are likely Federation members, the biography states Eidos and the Federation are merely in a loose alliance. The Edosians are described as a peaceful, long-lived polytheistic species with an egalitarian society and utilitarian architectural style. The biography also places Eidos in the Triangulum constellation near the galactic barrier. We don't know exactly what kind of star Eidos orbits, but other non-canon reference materials claim it is the third planet of its system, suggesting Eidos' primary star may be like our own primary star, Sol. Interestingly, the Star Trek novel continuity claims Eryx is a member of the Triexian race and makes a distinction between Triexians and Edosians, but this, in my opinion, completely unnecessary distinction definitely doesn't exist in canon. While a tripedal species might seem unlikely, to be fair, the vast majority of animal life on Earth is six-limbed. We only have 4 limbs because the evolutionary line that led to humans emerged from lobe-finned fishes nearly 400 million years ago, which gave rise to a class called tetrapods. While a 6-limbed alien species would need to expend more energy to power extra muscles compared to humanoids, their third arms and legs being front-facing, combined with their remarkable strength, could indicate a higher surface gravity on Eidos. Also, according to art designer Robert Klein, the legs of a gazelle were used as a starting point for designing Eryx's body plan, and he suggested that like an owl, Edosians can adjust their torso to rotate almost 360 degrees. Continuing the trend of non-humanoid aliens, the animated series introduces a number of bug-like beings throughout the galaxy. The first episode, Beyond the Farthest Star, shows on a view screen an insectoid commander whose species is never identified. This species lived more than 300 million years ago, and their technology was very advanced. They utilized an unknown alloy, lighter and harder than any metal known to the Federation in the 23rd century. The construction techniques of their starships drew the alloy into filaments and then spun them like a spider's web, and their spacecraft designs incorporated hexagonal cell formations nearly identical to honeycombs of bees on Earth. They also used energy-accumulating wands to collect energy from sound, motion, magnetism, light, and heat. One of their pod ships is encountered by the Enterprise in 2269 near Questar M17, a dead star on the fringe of the Milky Way. Large doors in the aired episode also point towards the idea that this species was rather gigantic. Typically, large creatures with exoskeletons would be prohibited by the square-cube law, although arthropods on Earth were capable of growing to much larger sizes in prehistoric times, in part due to higher oxygen concentrations. The atmospheric pressure and gravity of the pod ship are relatively Earth-like in the episode, so this species may have instead had an endoskeleton with chitin-like armor skin or a softer outer carapace to support their advanced size. One of the other memorable insectoid races from the animated series is the species of M3 Green, a lockpick who accompanies Kirk and Spock on a mission to retrieve an artifact called the Soul of Skor in The Jihad. These aliens possess 6 limbs and 2 legs and a wide tail, and all the ones seen throughout Trek are green in color. M3 Green's species is identified in the novels as the Nasat, a name also used in the game Star Trek Timelines and on StarTrek.com. And the novels confirm there are also blue and red Nasat. M says his people are not known for taking risks, and various novels elaborate that while the Nasat are Federation members, they rarely leave their homeworld save for a few enterprising individuals. Also, this image in particular is kind of fucking disturbing to look at, so I'm gonna take it off screen right now. Not much is known about their homeworld, but they're said to share it with an intelligent plant-like species called the Satoak. The novel continuity describes the Nasat as being crustaceans, which would technically be more accurate than using the descriptor insectoid, since many crustaceans have more than 6 legs, with many crabs having 8 in addition to their 2-clawed arms. The Jihad also introduces a number of other alien species, including the Skor, an ornithoid race that possesses feathered wings that allow them to fly and hover. Once a great race of warriors with advanced technology and the ability to rapidly breed vast armies, since the mid-21st century, the Skor have practiced pacifism, similarly to the Vulcans. Their homeworld orbits a binary M-type star in the Beta Quadrant, according to the admittedly now outdated Star Trek maps, which nonetheless serves as one of the only published sources charting locations from the animated series. They bear a strong resemblance to the Aurelians, a member of which, named Alik Am, a Federation historian, appears in the animated series episode Yesteryear. These aliens' homeworld, Aurelia, is, according to various non-canon reference sources, located in the Xi Herculis system, Xi Herculis being a G-type giant star 2.48 billion years in age. The large wingspans of Aurelians and Skor indicate they both may have evolved on planets with higher gravity, their flight capability allowing them to overcome the more intense acceleration forces. Their avian nature is also a welcome flavor of Trek alien design, given that birds are, along with primates, elephants, cetaceans, and octopuses, some of the most intelligent animals on Earth. Aurelians seemingly prefer living in spherical tree houses, and they lay eggs to reproduce. The Aurelians featured in Lower Decks are actually closer in design to the original Skor from the Jihad, rather than Alik Am's slimmer build, a deliberate choice made because, in the words of co-producer Brad Winters, the Skor look cooler. And I kind of have to agree with that. Winters has suggested that the Aurelians and Skor probably share a common ancestor, and that in the century between the Jihad and Lower Decks, the two races have probably interbred once again. Overall, 9 out of 10 alien design. Wait a minute, what am I doing? I'm not ranking these. One of the other specialists gathered to retrieve the soul of Skor is Sword, a member of an unnamed reptilian species. This alien possesses dark green, scaly skin and a large head crest, a tail, 4-fingered clawed hands, and a digitigrade stature. I've talked numerous times about digitigrade and plantigrade statures, such as in my video about the Quarians from Mass Effect, and this has led to some speculation that I'm actually a furry. I'm not, but you can't deny that Tally is best girl.
It was totally worth it.
Anyway, it's actually a misconception that digitigrade means backwards-facing knees. In fact, this is an illusion, as what looks like a backwards-facing shin bone is actually the animal's foot. It's been speculated by fans and various Star Trek authors that Sword may be a member of the Naelish species, a race introduced in the TNG novel Reunion, who are also members of the Federation. One of my favorite alien species from the animated series is the Vendorian species, tentacled non-humanoid creatures capable of shape-shifting. They originate from the Beta Quadrant planet Vendor Prime, the second planet in a binary star system consisting of an F-type primary and M-type companion. Vendorians are known for being duplicitous, and by the second half of the 23rd century, Vendor Prime is under quarantine. The treaty between the Federation and Romulan Empire even prohibits the use of Vendorian spies. Nevertheless, we occasionally see Vendorians out and about, as it were, impersonating other species, such as in The Survivor and Lower Decks Envoys. Vendorians reproduce by laying brood pods in the throats of other beings and watching them hatch, making them a clear example of parasitic species like the xenomorphs from Alien. The ability of the Vendorians to rearrange their molecular structures into any shape with the same general size and mass is definitely another one of their trademark traits, and I think it's interesting to consider whether this is a biologically evolved trait or one that the Vendorians artificially genetically engineered into themselves. Indeed, the Vendorians do possess advanced medical technology. Additionally, we learn that the longer a Vendorian remains in another's form, the more its memories, emotions, and attitudes become ingrained and meshed with the Vendorian's own personality. They're also capable of rendering some humanoids unconscious by touch alone. Culturally, the Vendorians seem to have a class-based society that places considerable importance on the individual. Those who are considered non-producers are deemed as outcasts, such as a Vendorian impersonating human philanthropist Carter Winston in The Survivor. One of the more whimsical additions to Vendorian lore comes from the Lower Decks episode, Caves, in which we learn that Vendorians frequently subject other beings to morality tests. One of these morality tests pits Brad Boimler against notorious conspiracy theorist Lieutenant Steve Levy. Levy's correct assessment that the Vendorians will punish them by laying brood pods in their necks impresses the Vendorians, who note Levy's knowledge of their customs is mixed with hyperbole and fiction.
We did not, as you put it, do the Klingon Civil War. Agree to disagree.
The Vendorian leader declares their morality gambit has worked after Boimler says that while Levy is still a crackpot with dangerous beliefs, he's learned to not yell at him. Another one of the most widely recognized alien species from the animated series are the Phylosians. A species of sentient plants, they are native to the Alpha Quadrant planet Phylos, which, according to various reference sources, orbits a K-type orange star. Very technologically advanced by the time of the Enterprise's encounter with them in The Infinite Vulcan, the Phylosians have naturally long lifespans, further extended by their advanced medical science. Around the late 21st century, they sought to enforce peace in the galaxy and built a large fleet of ships. However, upon being visited by a Eugenics Wars-era human scientist named Stavros Caniclius, the Phylosians fell victim to a strain of non-native Staphylococcus bacteria that nearly wiped them out. We see in the episode that Caniclius and subsequent generations of clones have stayed to help undo this damage. The Enterprise crew tells Caniclius and the Phylosians about the peacekeeping mission of the Federation, and Caniclius creates a clone of Spock to help him find a final cure for the Phylosians. By the 24th century, this plan seems to have worked, as at least one Phylosian serves in Starfleet aboard the USS Cerritos, as mentioned in dialogue in the Lower Decks episode, Cupid's Errant Arrow. The episode The Ambergris Element features the Aquans, natives of the planet Argo, a Class O planet orbiting a yellow dwarf star. Argo was once a land planet, but its surface became almost completely covered in water after a series of seismic disturbances. I should note that I'm not the biggest fan of this trope in sci-fi because that's not how geology works. Like, a giant earthquake in California isn't going to plunge Los Angeles hundreds of feet into the ocean. The Earth didn't flood 4,000 years ago, there was no ark. We're kind of getting off track. The Aquans themselves were once air breathers, presumably mammalian, but began to genetically alter themselves to live underwater. These artificial mutations eventually became hereditary, and over generations, the water-breathing Aquans came to fear their remaining land-dwelling counterparts. The air-breathing Aquans were hunted and killed, and presumably went extinct at some point. Contemporary Aquans have flat noses, webbed hands, loose ankle fins, and long hair, and have retained a highly sophisticated architecture and medical technology. They are governed by a tribunal, and by the time of the Enterprise's visit, their society is deeply ideologically divided along generational lines. Due to the Enterprise's intervention, a faction of younger Aquans plans to return to the surface and make peace with those who remained in Aqua City. The episode The Eye of the Beholder features the Lactrans, a civilization of large, slug-like creatures from the planet Lactra 7. Orbiting a G-type giant star according to maps, the episode states Lactra 7 has normal atmospheric pressure and gravity. The Lactrans have at least one major city that notoriously contains a vast alien zoo hundreds of kilometers large. The zoo houses a variety of life forms from other planets with habitats manufactured to suit their needs. The Lactrans themselves have a trunk-like proboscis on the front of their face that ends in 3 finger-like appendages, used as their main mode of manipulating objects. Their 2 eyes are also slightly raised from their head. Indeed, this specific design in many ways reminds me of prehistoric animals from the Cambrian period on Earth like Anomalocaris and Opabinia, which had frontal appendages, stalky eyes, and in the case of the latter, a soft body that I could imagine evolving into a form like the Lactrans given enough time. The Lactrans have a history spanning tens of thousands of centuries, and they are so highly evolved that even Vulcans cannot comprehend their complex telepathic communication. A 6-year-old Lactran is already said to possess an IQ in the thousands, and the Lactran's telepathic powers can be used to probe the minds of other beings. While the Enterprise's visit to Lactra 7 seemingly uncovers very little else in the way of useful information, the Lactrans have made it clear that Starfleet is welcome to revisit their planet in a few thousand years. Or when they're smart enough to get Rick and Morty, whichever comes first. I am firing my script editor. Another one of the more creative aliens from the animated series, in my opinion, are the Pandronians, introduced in the episode BIM. Nominally humanoid, the Pandronians are in fact colony creatures, cooperative beings made up of distinct organisms. As a consequence, individuality has little unique meaning for Pandronians. Just as with the jellyfish-like Hanar later created from Mass Effect, Pandronians refer to individual colonies as this one, rather than the more expected I used by most other humanoid species. The organisms are largely autonomous and mobile on their own via a method of bipedal locomotion, as well as a form of levitation that has not yet been fully explained. Over time, the separate organisms that constitute a Pandronian may disassemble and reassemble with other creatures to create a new colony, effectively terminating the existence of the prior unique Pandronian. They have green skin with tufts of red hair and large eyes, and are typically of comparable height to humans and Vulcans. While many of these design choices might seem absurd, on the contrary, colony creatures are real. Also called modular organisms, some of the most well-known colony creatures are siphonophores, assembled from different types of plankton, and the Portuguese man-o'-war, assembled from predatory animals called hydrozoa. Subunits of these organisms can be unicellular or multicellular, and in fact, they may have even been the first step towards multicellular organisms overall. They can also reproduce sexually or asexually, which is in line with the depiction of both male and female Pandronians in TAS and Lower Decks. In fact, dialogue in BIM suggests that Pandronians lay eggs rather than give live birth. As for the levitation, it's possible they make use of hydrogen-filled sacs to counteract the downward pull of gravity in their environment. The 4th and 5th episodes of the animated series' 2nd season introduce an alien species that is rather one-note, the Dramians, as well as one that is more interesting, the serpent-like Kukulkan. The Dramians, also referred to as the Dramans, are tall humanoids from the planet Dramia 2, seen in the episode Albatross. They have gold-colored skin and long, flexible, tendril-like fingers, as well as bulbous, dark eyes. While hailing from a remote star system, the Dramans maintain relations with the Federation. Kukulkan's species, as seen in How Sharper Than a Serpent's Tooth, is a near-extinct race that possessed highly advanced technology. Bearing feathered wings and tails, as well as a feathered mane, the lifespan of individuals of the species lasted thousands of years. Kukulkan himself is the sole survivor of his race, and we learn he was instrumental in several technological and architectural advances of various societies on Earth, such as the Egyptians, Mayans, Aztecs, and ancient Chinese. He taught early humans new techniques in agriculture and art, hoping they would combine this knowledge and build a great city and live in peace, though this never came to fruition. Had it been completed, the city would have become an energy amplification system that sent a signal to summon Kukulkan. Indeed, he manifested in history as legends of a winged serpent creature from the sky that brought knowledge, and he was associated with both the Chinese dragon as well as the lore of Quetzalcoatl in Aztec mythology. In fact, Kukulkan is his Mayan name. While I think it's fair to criticize How Sharper Than a Serpent's Tooth for playing into the ancient aliens trope, I actually kind of like this episode, and Kukulkan's design is undeniably cool. On the other hand, the animated series, like other Treks, also depicts alien species who are virtually identical to humans, save for some internal biological factors. One such race is Thila's species from the Tarian system, as seen in the Lorelei signal. Female members of this species adapted to the conditions of a planet they colonized in their system by developing a glandular secretion which endowed them with tremendous psychokinetic abilities. Their abilities allow them to manipulate the brains of the males of their species, weakening them and eventually killing them off. The women became trapped on the planet, incapable of aging, dying, or bearing children. They also found that to survive, they had to periodically revitalize their bodies. Isn't that kind of a contradiction? As early as the year 2119, these aliens began luring starships from nearby sectors to capture and enslave male crew members. After the Enterprise crew's intervention, the women are eventually relocated to another star system where they can live out natural lifespans. And speaking of powerful beings, there's also the Megans from the Magics of Magus 2, who live in an alternate dimension governed by magic. They are externally indistinguishable from humans, but due to their magical abilities, they can take on many forms like those of spirits. Some Megans who traveled to Earth by the 17th century and settled in Salem, Massachusetts, were burned at the stake as witches. Gee, I wonder why so many people think the animated series shouldn't be canon. Now, you might be wondering, how come I haven't discussed the KinzieK or KinzieK? Well, as a matter of fact, I have a whole video dedicated just to them that you can go check out after this video. Link in the description. As I mentioned earlier, we of course see the KinzieK regularly throughout TAS in the form of Maress, and the episode that brings the KinzieK into Star Trek canon, the slaver weapon, also offers a possible depiction of the slavers, who ruled a galaxy-spanning empire a billion years ago. These aliens went extinct during an apocalyptic conflict called the Slaver War that supposedly caused all life in the Milky Way to re-evolve. I also want to address a frequent comment that I got on my KinzieK video, which is that I didn't discuss the Vidala, the final alien species introduced in the Jihad. Another feline-like humanoid species, the Vidala are described as one of the oldest surviving races known to the Federation. But to put it bluntly, that's honestly about it. They do possess some pretty advanced holographic and long-distance transporter technology. They also have a proven ability to manipulate time, claiming that the participants in the retrieval of the Solov's score would soon forget about the mission, indicating their powers extend beyond this dimension. But biologically, the Vidala are just cats. Maybe lemurs? I don't know what you guys want me to say. Anyway, moral of the story, go watch KinzieK if you haven't already. There's also the matter-energy cloud that consumes celestial bodies in one of our planets is missing, which contains elements unknown to Federation periodic tables. It also seems to have equivalents to a brain and digestive system. For more info about creatures like that, check out my video as well about non-corporeal beings in Star Trek. Link in the description too. A pair of miners belonging to the bear-like ursinoid species can be found employed on the planet Motherlode in Mud's Passion. Humanoids with large fangs who are completely covered in fur, ursinoids are likely to be a non-Federation species, although at least one member serves as an engineer aboard the USS Titan in the Star Trek novel continuity. While Lower Decks of course features plenty of aliens introduced in the previous series, like I mentioned earlier, the animated medium yields some pretty noteworthy designs that I thought I'd showcase in this video. Members of Addix's species are tall, slender humanoids with gray, glossy skin, sunken cheeks, pointed ears, and a pronounced forehead. They may be Federation members, and are frequently seen working in various settings associated with other Federation member races. The Anabaj, as revealed in Envoys, are one of several shape-shifting species throughout the galaxy, normally possessing reptilian traits like slit pupils, frilled heads, pointy teeth, and a long, forked tongue. They are also telepathic and can climb up walls like a gecko. The Apragosians are featured in Strange Energies and have yellow-orange skin, with hair ranging from bright orange to dark brown. Pre-industrial Apragosians are known to have harnessed strange energy, which which inadvertently infects Commander Jack Ransom on an away mission. Their native planet of Aprigos may orbit a G-type star given the green pigmentation of plant life on its surface and the green algae color of its oceans. The Arior are ornithoids featured in A Mathematically Perfect Redemption, who used to be very technologically advanced but embraced a pre-industrial lifestyle after engaging in frequent wars with other alien races. Eventually, their near-total isolation had overwhelmingly negative effects like increased disease, malnutrition, and infant mortality after crashing on the Arior's home planet of Areolis. The Exocomp Peanut Hamper uses her advanced scientific knowledge and mechanical abilities to improve their lives, though ultimately with a selfish goal in mind. The Arior are six-limbed with a somewhat similar morphology to Aurelians. They have digitigrade legs and clawed feet, their feathers come in a variety of colors, and like all animals on Areolis, they possess large wings that allow them to fly. Their faces are owl-like, with large orange eyes, vertically slit pupils, and hooked beaks, and they reproduce by laying eggs. Given the presence of green vegetation on Areolis' surface, it's likely the planet orbits a G-type star, and the planet's gravity and atmospheric composition are likely different from Earth's in order to enable powered flight in large animals. The carnivorous moss is encountered by the lower deckers on the planet Grotinus in the episode Caves. When roused, it is bioluminescent and capable of speech, movement, as well as rapid regeneration. It can consume entire animals by engulfing them, leaving only their bones, but it also has a clear desire for learning and companionship, allowing the officers to complete their mission and tell stories about their adventures. The Corazonians are a humanoid species distinguished by pale red forehead spots and long eyebrows. They inhabit the Dyson ring Corazonia, created by another species some 6 million years ago before they ascended to a higher dimension. They pride themselves as artists and poets and share a deep bond with Vexilon, the sentient computer tasked with regulating Corazonia's biosphere. The Dilmarians are a pre-industrial people distinguished by blunt horns on their foreheads, skin ranging from orange to yellow, and hair ranging from green to blue. They are native to Dilmer 3, whose core creates a space-time differential, resulting in extreme time dilation as depicted in Fully Dilated. The Duplers are humanoids known for involuntarily duplicating themselves as a defense mechanism. Though highly embarrassing for them, which can often lead to a chain reaction, the duplicates can merge back together when a Dupler calms down. The Drukmani are large, warlike humanoids with gray skin, white hair, and tusks who inhabit space near the Klingon Empire. The Dulanians, as seen in The Least Dangerous Game, are one of the few species in Star Trek shown to use space elevators, or orbital lifts. Like Dilmer 3, their planet Dulane orbits what appears to be a blue star, and the Dulanians have reddish-orange skin and light-colored hair. Their society is referred to as wellness-based, highly valuing exercise and athletics, and are famed for their hospitality, dressing skimpily with bare midriffs like certain other aliens. But they also have a strict religion, with sinners liable to be sacrificed to the sentient volcano Morgo, who rules the planet along with a telepathic baby and a sentient computer. Guys, no one can say that Lower Decks doesn't know exactly what it's doing when it comes to tropes in the Star Trek universe. The Gallardonians are introduced in the series' first episode. Pig-like in appearance, they are also very short with purplish skin. This could suggest their homeworld Gallardon has a higher surface gravity, though the presence of large arachnids would also have implications about the concentration of gases like oxygen in their atmosphere. The Gallimites, previously mentioned in Deep Space Nine to have transparent skulls, are first seen on screen in The Best Exotic Nanite Hotel. Their pink brains are very large, twice the size of a human's, and they have an array of sharp teeth. Temporal Edict depicts the Gelrakians, native to the Federation planet Gelrak 5. They have green skin and sharp teeth, and their social structure is centered around crystals. The quadrupedal Graflax also appears in Caves, native to Balkus 9, where it raises its young and pools of water. Starfleet discovers their sentience after Rutherford engineers a universal translator to interpret the Graflax's growls, learning that attacks on humanoids are only meant as an act of defense against their offspring, whose appendages mimic medicinal aquatic ferns. The natives of Ketuvon Prime, also seemingly orbiting a blue star, are featured in Veritas, when the Cerritos rescues a Ketuvian from imprisonment by the Romulans. The Quopians are monarchical amphibious aliens with blue skin who somewhat resemble axolotls. They are native to the swampy planet Quopa, where Starfleet helps repair their water filtration system in Much Ado About Boimler. The Cloacans, another bird-like species with an unfortunate name, hail from the planet Cloaca. The species has feathers that come in a variety of colors and are of average humanoid height. They are capable of fluffing their down to appear larger in front of threats, though they consider the act embarrassing. Their methods of eating sometimes involve regurgitation, and indeed, food is very central to their culture. The Cerritos Cloacan counselor, Dr. Miglimo, even claims his species invented space travel to seek out, quote, strange new meals. Chromsapiods, also seen in The Least Dangerous Game, are large humanoids with powerfully built upper bodies, as well as digitigrade legs and long tails that end in barbed tips. Their faces are covered in articulated plates, and they have very sharp teeth, as well as claws on their three-fingered hands that allow them to climb up walls and ceilings. Their skin is green in color, as is their blood, which, as I've discussed before, could be based on the protein chlorochlororin, found in some earthworms and leeches. They are predators with an undeniable urge to hunt, though they commonly practice catch and release ritualized hunts involving sentient prey who consents to be hunted. How considerate. First Contact introduces the Lapirians, native to the Earth-like Lapiria, which the Cerritos and USS Archimedes make first contact with in 2381. The Lapirians have green skin, yellow eyes, small crests atop their heads, and two larger fins on each side of their faces. The inhabitants of the Mixtus system are purple humanoids with pointy ears, flat noses, and two crests atop their bald heads. They seek the aid of Starfleet in addressing an unstable moon in Cupid's errant arrow. Narge's species are sapient plant-like aliens who nonetheless possess a skeletal structure, one of which operates a menagerie in Federation space, as seen in I Have No Bones Yet I Must Flee. The Ackmenians are light green-skinned humanoids with two pairs of horns on their temples and cheeks who inhabit the transdimensional planet Ackmenic 9, which receives supplies from Starfleet in The Stars at Night. Of Gods and Angles depicts the Orbs and Cubes, two sentient non-humanoid energy-based species who inhabit the Veriflex Nebula and have long been in conflict with each other. The Plymerians are reptilian humanoids native to the planet Plymeria, conquered and enslaved by the AI Agamus in a few badges more. The Scrubble are silicate humanoids indigenous to Genghis 4, discovered by Federation outpost scientists in the 24th century, as mentioned in Mining the Mind's Mines. Siggy's species are tentacled aliens, one member of which works as a representative of the Collectors Guild and harbors prejudice against Orions as depicted in Kayshawn His Eyes Open. The Targalans are orange-skinned, purple-haired humanoids with extremely long ears. Their planet Targalus 9 joins the Federation in the late 24th century as part of their transition from a capitalist economy to a post-scarcity society, as portrayed in Shades of Green. Anthusa's species are parasitic blue-skinned humanoids who also inhabit the planet Baucus 9. Thusa serves as a guide for a Cerritos away team before she is killed by the Graflax. Before her death, she impregnates Rutherford through dermal contact, transferring her consciousness into a protein mass that grows into a baby clone in a matter of seconds. This scenario is certainly a play on Trip's experience in the Enterprise episode Unexpected, making Thusa's species another alien in Star Trek in which the males carry offspring, observed in some Earth animals such as seahorses. The Clickets are spacefaring insectoids with fang-like mandibles in their mouths, digitigrade legs, and the ability to compress their bodies to hide in plain sight in organic disguises. Known for interpreting gratitude as a form of hostility, the Clickets may originate from the Beta Quadrant due to their ability to provide Captain Freeman with a map of the Romulan neutral zone. The Harvangians are shapeshifters known to the Federation by the late 24th century. Merp's species are humanoids distinguished by aquamarine-colored hair and skin, two paired protuberances on their cheeks, pointy ears, gills, and three-fingered hands. By the 2380s, multiple members of the species serve in Starfleet. Apparently, the species is a reference to the Smurfs. Oh, you mean like the Schmalugals?
It's Schmaloogle o'clock!
Moxie's species are humanoids associated with the Federation since at least the late 24th century. They resemble the Trill, but instead have ruddy-colored skin with white spots. Pandara's species are characterized by small pairs of horns on their foreheads, as well as elongated earlobes. At least one member serves in Starfleet aboard the Cerritos in the 2380s. And the Taxor are large humanoids who have a treaty with the Federation. They are distinguished by greenish or bluish skin and have 4 to 6 horns on their heads, as well as a total of 14 digits. The Aquaticans are sentient aliens native to the ocean planet Aquatica. Featured in the Season 1 episode Asylum, they are a pre-industrial society as of the late 24th century. Resembling mermaids with a humanoid upper body and fish-like lower body, they're very fast swimmers who have translucent cyan skin and large black eyes, as well as long protrusions on their backs. They hunt the whale-like aquathon that share their homeworld, nearly driving the animals to extinction. The Brickar are large humanoids with hard, rock-like skin, first introduced in the Star Trek novel continuity and prominently featured in the form of the character Rok-Tahk. They are extremely strong and durable, able to withstand impacts from blade weapons or boulders without harm. Their spoken language also consists of deep growls. The Saimari are an advanced non-humanoid species inhabiting a planet near the Delta Gamma Quadrant border. Seen in First Contact, they are shown to be extremely proficient in physics and, as of 2383, have previously never encountered alien life. The Enterprisians are pre-warp humanoids native to a planet in the Beta Quadrant near the Romulan neutral zone. First discovered by the crew of Kirk's Enterprise in the late 2260s, their world became culturally contaminated after an Enterprise ensign crash-landed the shuttlecraft Galileo there. They healed the ensign and built a civilization loosely based on his teachings of Starfleet values. Despite still practicing primitive medicine, they are shown to be proficient in operating Starfleet technology, even establishing a formal relationship with the Federation after Second Contact with the crew of the USS Protostar in All the World's a Stage. The Loom, featured in Season 2, are a race of transdimensional aliens that feed on the inhabitants of universes suffering from temporal paradoxes. Known to devour entire timelines, they can manipulate the passage of time itself, and phasers are largely ineffective against them without matching to their own phase variants. Prodigy also marks the first on-screen appearance of the oft-mentioned melanoid slime worm in the form of Murph. Having evolved from aquatic sea life, able to sprout fins and a tail underwater, they are nearly indestructible and fond of ingesting random and improbable objects. Their biology even allows them to safely contain an artificial protostar, and they can survive in the vacuum of space. Their worm stage is in fact a juvenile form of the species' life cycle, eventually undergoing metamorphosis after wrapping themselves in a cocoon and emerging with a more humanoid body shape. And while a universal translator cannot decipher their language, they do in fact have one composed of harmonics at normally inaudible frequencies, much like whale song. Members of a spike-headed humanoid species called rhinos also appear in the Delta Quadrant. And finally, there are the Vau-N'Akat, prominently featured in the form of Gwen, her father Iltheron, Essentia, and various others. Technologically advanced humanoids native to the planet Solum, they possess grayish skin, tendrils instead of hair, and reddish markings over their noses. They also have psychokinetic abilities and cannot be read by telepaths like Medusans. With that, thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a thumbs up down below and don't forget to share it. That stuff really helps me out. If you haven't subscribed yet, be sure to do that as well so you won't miss future uploads, and click the bell icon to receive all notifications. If you want to support my work even further, you can become a patron at patreon.com/OrangeRiver, link in the description, or become a YouTube member by clicking the join button on my channel page. By becoming a patron or member, you also get access to awesome perks like behind the scenes photos and videos, patron and member only polls, name in the credits, merch discounts, and more. Or you can drop a one-time super thanks or PayPal donation. All are appreciated. Links to my PayPal as well as my social media and merch store are in the description too. Also, just as a reminder, I do have a second channel, OrangeRiver Plus, where I've uploaded the VODs of lots of my gaming streams, with more on the way. And in addition to some other goofy one-offs and extra behind-the-scenes content, I've officially made it my second streaming platform, so be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any new content. That's all I have for this week. Live long and prosper. Do you like merchandise? If so, head on over to the new and improved OrangeRiver merch store. That's right, OrangeRiver is now officially on Spreadshop. I've got a bunch of awesome new designs, including All the Way Down,
All the way.
Vape God, Tally, aka Best Girl,
It was totally worth it.
and what is perhaps my greatest design yet,
I love being married to my husband.
plus I've got some of my classic designs like OrangeRiver Arrowhead, N7, and more. And there are even some new products like OrangeRiver hats. That's right, OrangeRiver hats now exist. Visit the link in the description to get discounts and other special deals on items from my store.